Friends, welcome to Chatting Breeze, and today we're chatting about the Earth, or more specifically, the idea that maybe, just maybe, the Earth is flat. Now, I know what you're thinking. Shut up, you're crazy. Well.
1, 2, 3, we're not crazy!
Yep, those are legit flat earthers at a legit flat earth conference. Now, if there's one thing I know about life, it's that if you have to shout out in unison that you're not crazy, then you're probably crazy. But then again, they do seem pretty adamant, and I don't know, I'd always just assumed myself that the world was round, and I've been wrong before, so I had a thought. Maybe they have a point. Maybe the Earth is flat. Maybe I'm the crazy one. And if we're honest, it's possible. I mean, once upon a time, people were considered crazy for thinking the Earth wasn't flat, and also for, I don't know, thinking cigarettes were bad for you.
More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Try Camels yourself, the cigarette so many doctors enjoy.
So anyway, there's a solid chance that I'm actually the ignorant, closed-minded spanner in this scenario, so I decided to find out. Is the Earth flat? So the modern counter-scientific argument that the Earth is flat all stemmed from one simple assertion. If the Earth is round, then if you look in a straight line over a far enough distance, you should be able to observe its roundness, which makes sense. Then, one day, it happened. The Bedford Level Experiment. So the Bedford Level Experiment was first carried out by a guy called Samuel Burley Rowbottom in 1838, and it basically goes like this. There's this river in Cambridgeshire, England called the Old Bedford that has a section that runs in an uninterrupted straight line for 6 miles, or just under 10 kilometers. One day, Rowbottom stood in one end of this freezing river with a telescope, a top hat, and a can-do attitude, and he watched his friend sail the full, straight 6-mile stretch in a little rowboat. According to Rowbottom, if the Earth is round and has a 25,000 mile circumference, as the scientific community tells us, then the boat should disappear over the hump of the Earth by the time it reaches the end of the 6-mile stretch, and should be about 13 feet below his line of vision, completely out of sight. Lo and behold, as his friend reached the end of the 6-mile stretch, Rowbottom could still see the boat through his telescope. Ergo, the Earth is flat. Or is it? Well, the experiment was actually repeated 32 years later by this handsome chap, Alfred Russel Wallace, and he concluded the exact opposite. Wallace basically argued that what Rowbottom was seeing wasn't the boat, but was a result of something called atmospheric refraction, which I'll admit does sound a bit like one of those words that people kind of just make up when they're trying to sound smart.
It appears to be a cymatic light field, electromagnetic energy, not gravity at all. Gravity is a deception. The sun and the moon are these transcendental cymatic luminaries.
See what I mean? But let's just ignore our smart-ass Santa-looking friend for a second and assume that the Earth is flat. What does that even look like? The truth is, it's basically pretty much the same. So there's no single flat Earth map that's accepted across the entire flat Earth community, but the most popular one basically looks like this. Pretty familiar, right? And if you ignore the fact that Australia is larger than all of North America combined, and South Africa is about the same size as Western Europe, then this is basically the world we live in. There is one pretty significant difference though, and that is the ice wall, which surrounds the Earth on all sides. The Flat Earth Society has a pretty fascinating explanation for what the ice wall is on their website. The ice wall is what explorers have named Antarctica. Beyond the ice wall is a topic of great interest to the Flat Earth Society. To our knowledge, no one has been very far past the ice wall and returned to tell of their journey. What we do know is that it encircles the Earth and serves to hold in our oceans and helps protect us from whatever lies beyond. That's right, guys. The White Walkers are real. Or not. I don't know. I know nothing. Anyway, if you allow for the curiously mythical ice wall and the weirdly distorted scale of our continents, then a disc-shaped Earth does make geographical sense to some degree. But there is another burning question on everyone's lips. Where is the sun? So the sun is a pretty complex issue in the Flat Earth model because basically everything we know about it is a lie. For starters, those pesky scientists would have you believe that it's a burning ball of gas 1.4 million miles wide and 91 million miles away, which, I'll admit, does sound a little bit far-fetched. Whereas in the much simpler Flat Earth model, it is the same size as the moon, and it lives just outside the Earth's atmosphere. Oh, and because the Earth is the center of the solar system, the sun and the moon both rotate above the Earth, a bit like this. So nighttime happens not because the sun is on the other side of the world, but because, well, yeah, it's on the other side of the world. Anyway, now you're probably wondering, if the sun is constantly spinning above us, then why do we have sunsets? And that is a great question. I'm so glad you asked. Let me explain. So if you're like me, you've probably spent most of your life thinking that sunsets are caused by the Earth rotating away from the sun, and so the sun appears to get lower in the sky until it eventually sets and disappears. Well, you're wrong. Sunsets are actually just the most gorgeous optical illusion. I'll let this guy explain.
Well, I found a flat level surface in my living room, pointed a camera at the level surface, and moved a coin backwards away from the camera to simulate the sun. And look here! It goes half-shaped! Eventually, it would disappear. Now, if I can recreate this on a smaller scale, then what makes you think that it's proof of a ball-shaped Earth? It isn't! The sun going over the horizon convergence line is proof of a flat Earth, not a round one.
There are some issues, but let's talk about seasons. So we've already established that the sun and the moon are both floating above us, spinning around this dinner plate that we call home. And that is basically the same principle that explains how seasons work in a flat Earth model. So the basic theory is that the sun moves above the Earth in circles. The middle portion of the Earth is the northern hemisphere, the outer portion of the Earth is the southern hemisphere. When it's winter in the northern hemisphere, then these circles are really big, so the sun is further away from the north. But as summer approaches, these circles get smaller, the sun moves closer to the north, and the weather gets warmer, and vice versa for the southern hemisphere. And honestly, this part of the whole theory is the part that I had the least trouble with. So I guess there you go. You got me, I'm a believer. There is one thing though. Gravity. Okay, so gravity is a bit of an issue in the flat Earth model because that nerdy know-it-all Newton fella has us all thinking that it requires a large spherical mass pulling objects towards its centre in order for it to work. Which I do realise, now I think about it, it sounds a bit cuckoo. So instead, let's scrap gravity and let me introduce you to the theory of universal acceleration. And this, my friends, is juicy. Okay, so gravity suggests that when you jump or you throw a ball in the air or whatever, then everything will eventually come back down because the Earth is so large that it just sucks everything back towards its centre. But no, that is a lie. What's really happening is that the Earth is just accelerating upwards at a constant rate of 9.8 meters per second squared. So according to the flat Earth theory, when you jump, you never actually come back down. The Earth just eventually accelerates and catches up with you. So it feels like you're coming back down to Earth, but you're not. I know. I just blew your mind. But the last question I have about this whole thing is, so what? Does this even really matter? So a lot of flat Earth logic comes down to something called the zetetic method, which is basically a belief system that's built more on experience and observation than it is on scientific hypothesis. The Earth looks and feels flat, and therefore from a human perspective it kind of is. So when you look at it from that point of view, it's hard to say that flat earthers are truly wrong. I mean, you could walk out your front door and travel in a straight line around the entire Earth, and it would look and feel pretty flat. A guy even took a spirit level on a plane and it behaved exactly as it would if the Earth were flat. This whole question arises because our experience of the Earth is very different from the actual nature of the Earth. We don't feel its spin, we don't feel its curvature, we don't feel it constantly being tugged towards the sun, but all of those things are real. So do flat earthers kind of have a point? I'd say yes. Having spent a month and a half reading into this, I honestly don't for a second believe that the Earth is flat. But I do believe that when we're presented with something that is wildly at odds with our collective human experience of the world, then we should probably ask some questions. We should also listen to the answers, which is where the flat Earth movement falls down. But I have to say I have a weird respect for them for at least standing up and asking a question that so few of us can actually say with absolute certainty that we know the answer to. Is the Earth really a spinning globe flying through space around a giant 1.4 million mile wide ball of fire? I mean, I guess. Anyway, that's all for now. What are your thoughts on the flat Earth theory? Let me know in a comment. And if you like this video, then a thumbs up would really help me out. I started this channel because I wanted to start having more interesting and informed conversations about the world. So if that vibes with you, then why not subscribe and we can try and figure this crazy world out together. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I've been Zuki and keep chatting that breeze, my friends.